Hello friends, this grape arbor is absolutely loaded and I want to go ahead and do a little bit of a harvest here, enjoy the wonderful grapes, and then also do some seed saving. So let's get to it. I'm Aubrey, this is Crybaby Lemon Homestead, and let's go ahead and check out this grape arbor. Look how loaded these grapevines are, and it's intermingling here. This is actually, this tree behind here is called a baby Shapova. It's a cross between like a mountain ash and a pear tree, and that one has fruit on it too, but this one right here is actually from the rootstock, so that's mountain ash, and then the baby Shapova is above it. But right here we have all these grapes, and they are so delicious. They're tiny, and they have seeds. Okay, and the seeds are about that big, and there's a lot of them, okay, but they're delicious. They're so tasty. I'm crunching the seeds. They're delicious. You know what I don't understand is that we buy grapes at grocery stores that have no seeds, and then we buy grape seed extract. Why? Grow these and eat them with the seeds. It's like pomegranate. It's so good. Love it. Look at all these grapes, and I've already picked a lot for my class. I have a gardening, one of my classes is gardening, and those 6th graders absolutely loved them. I normally teach 7th grade, but I gave the 6th graders in my gardening class a bunch of grapes, and they had to have permission slip saying it's okay and everything, but they got to eat them and they got to seed save, and we are cold stratifying some grapes that we're going to actually plant. So much fun. Look at all these grapes. So many. It's loaded. Looking from lots of different angles. There's so many. There's so many. Did I mention how many there are? Wow. And I've been picking them a couple times a week at least. I'll bring them for lunch. It's kind of sticky. If you think about, I'm not sure what they are on the glycemic index, but they have seeds and they have skin, and the skin to flesh ratio has got to be pretty high because they're so small, so that you've got more skin, and they're so good. And look at that purple color, anthocyanins, delicious. And you can eat the grape leaves too. You can actually steam them. You can wrap, like the bigger ones, maybe wrap them around like rice and chicken, steam it. It's really delicious. So that's really popular in like Mediterranean and Arabic cuisine, so you could try that out. But these, oh my gosh, you guys, they're so good. And I'm telling you, if you like pomegranate and you like the seeds, like to crunch on them, yum. It's a whole texture thing. At first I was like kind of not suspicious. I was kind of like reluctant because you're so used to the big giant green or purple grapes. They have no, compared to these, they have no flavor, but they don't have seeds. And if you're trying to pick the seeds out, this would be ridiculous. But if you eat them with the seeds in them, it's wonderful. So obviously you know how to eat grapes, come on. But I'm going to show you how to get the seeds out in a much more easy way, because each individual fruit is so tiny. But the little jelly sac around the seeds is kind of hard to get it off. So this is what I've done with I've showed this how my students can do this. And all we did was, I said, you know what, I had a bag of grapes that was kind of like left out, and I was like, you know what, let's not eat those ones. I just said, throw them in there, and we'll leave them for a couple of days. And we let them just soak for a couple of days, and it was so easy because the seeds sink to the bottom, and then the skins and the flesh and that little jelly sac that's around the seeds is going to float to the top as they separate. It makes it so easy, and I'm just kind of showing you it. You don't have to hand pick these out. You could use a strainer. I just wanted to show you how the material floats on top. Kind of the same way when you're separating tomato seeds and like that yucky pulpy stuff is going to like kind of rise to the top and the seeds fall to the bottom. So I do kind of squish the pulp in my hands just to make sure I'm not missing any. There might be a few that don't dislodge, but most of them will just sink to the bottom as the rest floats up. And I have a paper bag there where I'm collecting all of the waste so I can compost it. And the reason why I'm adding more water is actually because I want to get some of that, more of that pulp to rise up to the top. Now, it works better if you don't have the water on quite as strong as I do, but I was being impatient. If you have the water pressure on too hard, it will actually make some of the seeds rise up and fall into the sink. I did take a piece of paper towel and cover the hole to the sink, so it will kind of straighten them out if that happens. I also am kind of like flicking some of the stuff out. Now, again, a strainer is perfect. I didn't have one, but I wanted to show you how easy this is. And on the bottom, you're starting to see that the seeds are kind of like being dislodged and kind of moved around because I had the hot water pressure on really, really hard. But if you have it on a little bit less than that, then all the debris is going to is going to rise to the top, and then the seeds are going to stay on the bottom. You can save the seeds as you're eating them. It's a little bit of work, and actually, like, my mouth got kind of irritated. I was doing that one time because there are so many seeds, and but it's just way easier to do this. You have a handful of grapes that maybe didn't look as good. Maybe they weren't quite as nice texture. Maybe they were a little squishy. Just throw those in water. You can actually squeeze the pulp out of the seed. I want to say seed envelope. Oh my gosh, like the skin, right? So you can just squirt the seeds out of the skin and throw the skin away, or just squirt them out and then eat the skin. Actually, it's probably a better use of the skin because it's really healthy. And then you won't have quite as much debris to go through later. But I had a whole bag of grapes that I kind of forgot about them. And the kids were like, "Can we eat those?" I was like, "Ooh, no, not those. Yeah, I want you to eat the fresh ones, not the ones that have been they're kind of funky." I said, "But I have a good use for these. Let's go ahead and soak them in water for a couple of days, and it's not like rocket science, but like as soon as you start to see all of this stuff is floating, that's when you start this process here. And if it takes a while, you might want to just squeeze the pulp out of the skin, just kind of speed it up. And I did move the paper towel because I was using a lot of water and it was getting kind of backed up. So I just went ahead and I wanted to show you how many seeds there are. There's so many, and this is not very many clusters of grapes either, you guys. So there are a lot of seeds in there. I also wanted to say too, like, you can seed save for yourself the seeds that are in your mouth, but if you're gonna like give seeds away, it's probably not that sanitary to sell or give seeds or trade seeds that have been in your mouth. So just think about, like, manners and that kind of stuff. People probably don't want to have, and they won't know if it was in your mouth. But like these here, obviously were nobody's mouth because all of them, the whole cluster of grapes was put in here. And now I'm going to try two different methods of planting the seeds. So now you can apparently dry out the seeds. I am going to try that and see if they will still be viable. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to do two different methods. One, I'm going to do the paper towel method in the refrigerator. And then in about a month, about 4 weeks, I'm going to take them out of the refrigerator and we're going to plant them and see if they grow. The other method I'm doing is I'm skipping the cold stratification and just planting them directly into, it's like a mixture of peat moss, cocoa coir, and soil. I wanted it to be not 100%, it's not 100% sterile. I didn't look at it on a microscope to make sure there's like nothing wrong with it. It's just basically a soil medium that is pretty like clean, because they're going to be sitting in that soil for a long time before they sprout, most likely. And I'm just going to put some moisture in there in the little container and put the lid on it. I am going to cover the seeds in the container with a little bit of moist medium, and I put the lid on it to keep the moisture in, because for most seeds, if not all, once they start to germinate, you don't want them to dry out, right? Now, when you're cold stratifying seeds, generally all of the ones I've done have been with like a moist medium. So I'm going to put these on a paper towel, damp paper towel, and I'm going to put them in a Ziploc bag in the refrigerator. Now, one thing I've noticed when I have that many seeds on a paper towel, I'm going to actually want to keep them from like bunching up. So I don't have like a pile of like 100 seeds in one little lump. I kind of want them all to have their own little space. Once they start germinating, I've had some different types of seedlings rip through the paper towels, and then their little tiny roots and leaves get stuck in them. So I kind of want there to be a space around each one. So just in case that happens to me, I can just rip off a piece of the paper towel and plant the seedling with the paper towel, rather than risk like tearing them off the paper towel and ripping off the roots. So I wanted them to each have a little bit of space. Now, if this was going to be a true scientific test, I would be counting the seeds. Like, how many do I have on the damp paper towel? How many do I have in the moist medium that's not going to be cold stratified? I didn't count them because I don't have time for that, you guys. I just don't have time. If you see a bunch of little grape vines sprouting on the paper towel, and you see a bunch of grapevine sprouting in the container, then you have your answer. Which of these methods do you think will work best? Go ahead and pop a comment below. Which method do you think will work best? The paper towel cold stratification method, or the moist medium in a plastic container without cold stratification? Which one do you think is going to work better? Pop a comment. I will definitely post a video later after both methods are given their fair amount of time to make sure that they work or don't, and I will report out on that. I'm also going to be saving seeds and seeing, like, I have some that I actually did this whole process, removing the seeds from the fruit, and now I have them drying. So I just put them on a dry paper towel or a paper plate, and I'm letting them dry, and then I'll wait a period of time, and then I'll plant them using probably the cold stratification method, since that does seem to be the most popular one that I've seen online. Most people say that you should not direct plant the seeds. Now, in nature, if you just abandoned a grapevine, some of those fruit clusters of fruit would fall to the ground, and they would be in the fruit while it was rotting, and it would be going through a natural cold stratification in the wintertime. You might see some sprouts happening later because nature is cold stratifying it. Okay, that happens with me with my lavender. So I have planted lavender seeds without cold stratifying. They may grow without being cold stratified, but they may grow better, and more of them may germinate if you use cold stratification. Now, some of my lavender flowers have been sitting for a year outside. So when I gather some of the seeds, they may have already been cold stratified from last year. When you're gathering seeds and you don't know how long they've been on the plant, that is a possibility with herbs like that. So we're going to go ahead and put these in the crisper drawer, and you can see I already have some in there already. See? So I have a note on there. Please don't throw these away. In my own home, I would like tape them to the door of the refrigerator with a little note saying what they are and don't throw them away. So I did have some more, but these, I was getting tired. I was a little tired. I was like, okay, I'm running out of time. I just found a bunch more. So I was like, you know what? You can do this in a jar. You don't have to have a big container. If you only have a few, because you probably won't have quite as much as I had. I had like a whole tote of grapes that I brought because I have like 29 students in this class. And so I wanted them to all be able to have a whole cluster. So I brought in at least 29, because each kid I gave them like half a cluster at first because I wasn't sure. I didn't count them. And then I gave them another half, and then I let kids come back and get more. So they had a really great time. It was a lot of fun. So you might be wondering why I'm putting another damp paper towel on top of these, and that's because I have learned that if you have a lot of seeds on your damp paper towel and you move it, they all roll together, and I want them all to have their own individual space. It really helps. So just trust me on this. So I put another paper towel on top of it, and then I'm rolling it so that they all keep their own personal space, just like children. You need to have your personal space, guys. You have to have your own little bubble. And this one here, so I did put some in a damp paper towel, the damp paper towel into a plastic baggie, like I showed you earlier. But I upcycle stuff in one of these little it's like for gum. It's a little container for gum, and I thought this is actually pretty cute. So I went ahead and put them into this, and that's going to go into a fridge. I hope you enjoyed picking some grapes, getting a little snack, and seeing how we seed save and actually treat the seeds in order to plant them. All right, everybody, be good, be sweet, go garden if you want to eat, and I'll see you next time.